guys that get a lot of credit is Steve Blackman from Muscular Development. I mean, those guys have done an extraordinary job for years and years and years to promote health, to promote fitness, to promote strength, to promote bodybuilding, powerlifting, weightlifting, and all of those kind of things. So the contributions they made is gigantic, and I hail them for that.
Hey everybody, welcome to Muscular Development's preview of the 2022 Arnold Classic. Joining me, wow, this is a great panel, guys. We have Arnold Classic champion, the Boston Mass, Jose Raymond, joining me from right here in Massachusetts, which is New England. And in Old England, we have Giles Thomas, the man behind MD Global Muscle, premier journalist in bodybuilding in the world right now today. I said it, Giles, I said it. You're the man.
Mr. Monmouth, 8th place.
So before we get into it, guys, unfortunately, we're recording this on Friday, the 25th, and we had some very, very unfortunate news. Boston Lloyd, just 29 years old, he passed away. I knew him a little bit. I know we've all had some kind of interaction with him, and it's just very, very sad to see someone in the prime of his life gone like that. He has a young son, 3 or 4 years old. So I just want to offer my condolences. Very, very sorry to hear this. Guys, anything you want to add?
I like Boston. You know, a lot of the shit that he used to do and say, you know, garnered a lot of hatred toward him. And I never experienced anything like that with him. He was always super polite to me. In fact, just a month ago, he sent me some peptides in the mail because he knew I had bad shoulder problems. And he said that this will help. And he mailed it to me. You know, in the past, he's discussed fertility with me, you know, said he'd give me his protocol and how he was able to have a baby. And, you know, he was a very, very caring kid once you got past the shit talk, you know? Right. So I hate, you know, I've read some of the shit online today. It's disgusting. I really like Boston. I feel really bad for his family. He was much too young, 29 years old. He's still a kid and leaves behind a kid and a wife. And, you know, for all the shit talk, he was very successful. He was able to buy a home cash. You know, he did a good job. And it's very sad. Once again, we're talking about losing another person. And, you know, rest in peace, Boston.
Yeah. So we'll transition into another story that came out today. We had Cedric McMillan drop out, so we won't be discussing Cedric's chances in the Arnold. He dropped out. I've been hearing rumors someone else was going to drop out for at least a week, and I suspected it was going to be him based on what I've been seeing. He's been posting updates. He didn't look anywhere near top form. His legs are way down in size. And just the tone of his posts, I had a feeling he was going to drop out of the show. Did you guys pick up on the same vibe?
I suspect we'll never see him again.
Wow.
On stage. I think it's unfortunate. But when you had such a beautiful look, he was gigantic, beautiful, everything. And now he's mid-40s. He's got to be 43, 44. Those injuries catch up. On a frame like that, he's never going to be able to put that size back on to make him competitive in the pro bodybuilding division, you know? Yeah. Unless he was able to suck off 40 more pounds and do classic, which is, I don't know, you know, I think we'll never see him again, honestly. But he was one of the best. At his best, he's one of the best of all time. Loved him.
2017 Arnold Classic champion. Like when he got, I think it was 8th at the Legion Sport, and obviously we weren't expecting that. You'd expect him to be one of the front runners and, you know, be beating Sean Clarida and Regan and Sergio. So when I heard that there was reasons for it, was it broken wrist and there was some other issues and wasn't there? Was it something like that? I thought, okay, there's the reason. But was it last week? People pretty much said then, oh, I think it's going to be Cedric that pulls out of the show next. And then when I saw that today, it wasn't a huge shock at all. But like you said, Jose, I'm a huge fan of Cedric. He's one of my, him and Sean Roden were two of my, and Phil Heath, my 3 favorite, probably pro physiques of the last 10 years.
Wow.
And thing is, he's a guy who's got plenty of other things going on and stuff like that. But like you said, he maybe Father Time is catching up to him. But what a career! And thing is, he always does well at the Arnold Classic. He always, I mean, he's been like first, second, third, fourth. He's always been in that top 5. He's always been in the mix. He always did like what Flex Wheeler did and look great at the Arnold Classic. So I'm sad to not hear he's not in it. So I just hope he's okay. And maybe if we do see him on stage, we might see him back to his best. And if not, I wish him all the very best.
Yeah, this has been the biggest dropout rate of any Arnold Classic, and I think it's just bad. It was a series of bad luck on it. You know, Akeem dropped out. Who else has been? Rafael Brandao dropped out. There's been 5. Nathan, Shaban dropped out. I mean, we had 14 men. We're down to 9.
9?
So, yeah, it's 9. 9 guys. Let me count together. Yeah, I count. Yeah.
Did you see what I put on the forum the other day?
No.
Do you think with the Boston Pro being 1 week after, and you've got guys like Justin Mackey and Phil Clayha who wanted to do the Arnold Classic, do you both think that they should maybe just throw those invites out just to bump up the numbers a little bit?
It's a little late now to make arrangements.
You think?
Flights and hotels and all that garbage. There's a lot that goes into the last few weeks of preparing for a show. And to spring it on them, you know, they can throw it out there. Hey, if you want to make it down, we'll get you a hotel and, you know, but I wouldn't do it.
Okay.
You know? It's last minute. There's so much involved. I think this whole year's timing, you had an Arnold Classic in October, and now you have one in March. And all those people that were gunning for the one in October, you know, what do? Just keep dieting, stay on your prep for this long? I bet a lot of them tried to, like Akeem, and then just end up getting sick. You can't do it. And that's why a lot of your Olympians don't do the Arnold Classic and vice versa. Yeah. It's very few guys that can pull that off. And I just think just due to the timing, it's really hard to have done both. So and you're gonna have guys getting sick, dropping off.
But then you got 8 months until the Olympia, 9 months until the Olympia this year.
Yeah, which is great. But between the time of last Olympia and now, it's very short. You know, you're talking, what was it, December 17th?
No, well, this last Arnold was the end of September, and the Olympia was like mid-October. It's going to be December again this year. Yeah, the dates keep flopping around like crazy. It's confusing sometimes. But let's talk about the guys that are in the show instead of harping on who we're not going to see. Luckily, most of the very big names are still in the show. Thank God. I'm going to start right off the bat with, I think if they were doing betting, gambling, they wouldn't even take bets because this is too much of almost a sure thing. Brandon Curry, he's the Arnold champ. He's won it before. He's a Mr. Olympia champ. He's been very close second to Ramy the last 2 years. So the only person who's been beating Brandon Curry for a while now has been Big Ramy. This should be a pretty easy win for him. He's got to take that call. But you know, are we being too presumptuous here that he's that good and these other guys are not on his level, even Bonac? Do you see this? I'll start with you, Giles. Do you think this is an easy win for Curry?
I wouldn't say it's an easy win, but I think it's going to be a win. I actually believe we're going to see the best Brandon Curry ever.
Wow.
I think the second place at Olympia last year, coming very close to Ramy in the pre-judging. I mean, he's not someone who needs motivation because when he's out in Q8, he's fully focused. I've seen his legs are up. It looks like his legs are up. I mean, they've always looked good from the front, great from the side, but I've not seen any shots from the back. But I think even if that isn't improved, I think he's going to be the winner. I'm actually rooting for him to do what he did in 2019. I spoke to Ronnie about this last night, and we think he could repeat what he did in 2019, win the Arnold Classic and the Olympia. Honestly, I've got a funny feeling he's going to do that this year.
Wow.
Yep.
Jose, what do you think?
I agree with you. I agree with Giles. I've already spoken about this on a couple other podcasts. I think it's going to be a runaway with Brandon. He just has that like Flex Wheeler aesthetics, the roundness, with modern day density and craziness, and nobody else looks like him. He's the most. When you think of ideal look of a bodybuilder, he's the one who's got it. Unless he came in off, but the pictures I've been seeing, his legs look separated and lean. He looks big as ever. I see this as a runaway. The big one, the biggest story is who's going to be second.
Yeah.
Really, who do you have? I have someone in mind, and I think we're going to see Brett Wilkin make enough improvements. He's the closest thing to having those aesthetics with size and detail. Very complete. I'm looking forward to seeing Brett, unless we have a William Bonac from 2, 3, 4 years ago. You know, that really full William Bonac. But it's been trending down. Like he seemed to have been getting flatter and flatter, like smaller each time up.
True. I have some news on that front because I actually just interviewed him from Amsterdam a couple hours ago. He hooked up with Chad Nichols 5 weeks ago. So I know it's not like a full prep, obviously, but hopefully Chad can bring him in bigger and fuller with the condition. Because like you said, at the last Olympia, I said, this isn't the William I know. He's not, his size is looked about 15, 20% smaller overall than what I remember him at his best. But like, I don't want to write him off yet. I don't know if he's done, but typically guys don't come back from those downward trends. They keep going down and then they just kind of go away. But I don't know. Giles, do you think Bonac still has one or two or three or four more really great shows left in him, and this could be it?
I do. I think I'm like Jose. A couple of weeks ago, I was thinking, I think I've seen what Brett Wilkin, but you know what? Yes, Brett Wilkin will be about 10 pounds heavier. Yes, he looks absolutely phenomenal in all these pictures, but don't forget, he's only done one pro show. And yes, aside from Hunter Labrada, which many said, you know, nobody would have argued really if he'd have beaten Hunter, and Hunter's like fourth place at the Olympia. But I actually think, let's see how he compares. Let's see when he looks great in Instagram, whatever, but let's see these new gains. Let's see if because for me, he needed a little bit more pop in his upper body and the frontal bicep. He needed a bit, and it looks like he's got that. And I've seen these pictures of him, you know, with Matt Jansen looking all full, but is he gonna bring that to the stage? And how is he gonna look next to someone like a top Olympian? He's not really stood with these top guys yet. And I think he's absolutely gonna be first call out. And I've changed my mind. I don't think he will be second. I think he's going to be 1 or 2 spots lower, but that's going to be a great result for someone like Brett, who's only in his second open pro show. Don't forget, this guy was 212 2019, classic in 2018. But I'm very excited to see him, though. I'm very excited to see him because he's very complete. And like you said, he's got aesthetics and he's got mass. I just hope the improvements translate to the stage and he looks really good. But I want to see him next to Brandon and Bonac. But yeah, I think it's almost like the Bonac versus Brett Wilkin show in many ways.
I agree.
For second place, the battle for second.
Yeah. Like
I don't agree with that. So let's take those two. We've got the top 3 handled. Who do you see most likely as placing after that? Mike, I got a couple. I'm torn between Samson, Kuklo, and Justin. I mean, they're all on a similar level. I don't know who's. Let's start with Justin Rodriguez, because he doesn't get a lot of talk. You know, seems kind of upset about it at times, which I understandably so. He has done very, very well at these shows, but he's up and down. There's been times when he's not consistently in shape too. But the updates he's been putting on these past 2-3 weeks, he's looking crazy. I don't see too many weak points with him. He's got a great physique, tremendous shoulders, arms, taper. Do you think he's good enough to beat some of these other guys we're talking about, like Samson and Kukla? Who wants to go first?
I will. I think he's good enough to beat Samson. I don't see him beating Kuklo. Samson's legs are incredible. He's been bringing great condition, but his frame, it's like he's missing a back. And it's very evident in a lot of poses. Front double, you know, rear lat spread. Those are poses that Kuklo is a lot bigger and can beat him on and will bring equal condition. I think Kuklo, out of those 3, is the most consistent and the biggest with aesthetics. For a giant guy, he's put together really well. So I would have Kuklo in the 4th spot, in a battle between Justin and Samson. Just really depends on what you like.
Yeah.
If Justin's 100% like the best we've ever seen him, then he may even leapfrog a Kuklo. But he hasn't been consistent enough to call that. I think Samson could make a jump. I just think he hasn't filled out his frame yet to place, in the 4th spot yet. I just don't.
Well, Giles, you were just with Samson. You spent the day filming and so on. So you've had a really good upfront perspective. What do you think? Does he have what it takes to beat a lot of these big names we're talking about?
I think he could be first call out. I think he could be around the 5th, 6th spot. But the thing is, he's got to get past guys like Justin Rodriguez and Steve Kuklo. I think Justin Rodriguez is one of the most underrated pros. I've been saying that for like 3 years, and he only just won his first pro show last year at Indy.
Right.
He was second to Nick Walker at the New York Pro. And the thing is, you say about consistency of conditioning. When has he ever really been out of condition? I was thinking when you said then.
It's been a couple of years. You're right. Yeah, I should give
At
him
the last show at the Arnold.
He was
the
good.
Olympia. He was in the Arnold. He was in Olympia too.
Yeah, either one. He was good, but I'm just waiting to see more.
Okay.
I'm waiting to see, because his structure is so good. He's so wide. He's got all the bells and whistles. I'm just waiting to see him like 100%, and he can beat those guys. Like, I would have him ahead of Hunter if he was 100%.
Wow.
I could see him as high. And I think at the Olympia he got misplaced. I think he could have placed higher at the Olympia. What was he, 8th?
8th, I think he was 8th. Yeah.
I think why he's so under talked about is because he doesn't look in contest condition until show day.
Yeah.
I mean, if I was a coach and I saw pictures of him at 2 weeks out, I'd be like, you've blown it, mate. Every single time he does it, he literally brings it on the day. Whereas other guys are looking like Brett Wilkins be looking incredible for weeks. Right. So I think that's why people don't include him in the top conversations. And every single time he kind of proves himself by being consistent and showing up. But I mean, he's like 274. I don't think you realize maybe people realize how big he is. And he looked really good at the prejudging at the Arnold Classic last year. And then he kind of because it was close between him and Valier, I thought. And then Valier got better for the night show, and Justin kind of slipped down to like, what was it, 5th, wasn't it? 4th or 5th? Yeah. So, but I had him like 3rd at the prejudging, and I thought, oh shit, is he going to push Kuklo? But then they brought Kuklo and Nick Walker out together. But anyway, I think I think he's underrated, and I think it's going to. I feel like there's 2 competitions apart from, let's put Brandon aside. I feel like it's going to be Bonac versus Brett, and then I think it's going to be interesting to see Kuklo versus Rodriguez. And don't forget, I mean, Kuklo was ill, wasn't he? What do you know what the issue was?
No, I didn't know he was there. I'm actually talking to him tomorrow, but no,
not been very well. But he's back on it now, and he posted a video, but I don't know whether the video is old or whether it's a brand new one, because you don't want people to be talking negatively about you. But with Steve, I mean, I thought he looked tremendous at the Arnold Classic last year, and I felt like he was. I think many of us thought he was going to get 2nd, and then he eventually got 3rd. But he has been moving up every single year, and like Jose said, people don't realize how big and well conditioned, and I mean, he's dealt everything, and he looks so great at the prejudging at the Arnold Classic last year. I hope he brings that again, and if he's made any improvements, because he's not really missing anything, then I think maybe he's going to be in the conversation for maybe even beating guys like Brett and maybe even Bonac.
Yeah, people forget he's I think he's around 280 or close to it. 275 on stage at a little under 6 foot. He's a big, wide dude. He takes up a lot of space. But that is an interesting showdown. Next guy I got to talk about, because he never would have been in this conversation. Even a year ago, we would have been like, whatever. He'll be last place. Regan Grimes. Regan is looking so much better than he has for a long time previous to that. He's been working with Milos. Milos has got him looking fuller and rounder. That's all I ever wanted out of Regan. There were some body part things. He needed bigger biceps. He needed more of a chest. But he's filling out that frame. He's still a young kid. He's 28 years old. We saw that Legion Sports Fest where he took 2nd to Sean Clarita. That's the best Regan I've ever seen. Just big, shredded, and with the aesthetics of a classic physique guy, but bigger. I don't know how well he's going to do. I don't know where he's going to fit into this lineup. I guess I've never seen Regan. He's been doing all these overseas shows. I can't remember seeing him except for, I don't want to count this last Olympia, but like when he first came out to Tampa, I've never seen this Regan Grimes, this bigger and fuller version. What do you guys think? Is he going to be a little more competitive than he would have previously?
Well, that's goes without saying.
Yeah.
He's young. He's getting better and better and better. He'll be more competitive. He's still not big enough to beat Kuklo or I think it's going to be a good battle between him and Samson. Very similar physiques, leg dominant, a little weaker in the upper body. But Samson's got really good arms and Regan doesn't. Regan has a really good back and Samson doesn't. So it'll be interesting to see what happens there. And I have a feeling they'll be, those two will be a good, interesting battle to watch, which if they're both great and anything could happen, they could end up in the, 4, 5, 6 spot, one of them, which is good. This is a really good lineup. This is a really good competitive lineup. I really like Regan. I like everything about him. I like how he handles himself professionally, and his social media is making a killing, and he's making improvements. That's the most important thing. A lot of times these social media stars are stagnant because they're too busy doing little videos, but he's focused and he's made great. It seems like his back is really impressive, and his legs are impressive for a tall guy. He just needs those arms to catch up. And I expect good things out of him.
I mean, before we get to Giles, this kid moved from Toronto, Canada area, all the way to Las Vegas, basically because Milos lives there. That's a massive commitment to go across to another country to be able to train with this guy who you believe in is going to guide you into the next level of your career. Giles, what do you think about Regan Grimes?
I'm kind of expecting a little bit of a shock because what I'm seeing on social media, I'm not seeing the significant improvements from those pictures that I was expecting. But I think because like he posted a picture the other day and it was like, oh, he's depleted and stuff like that. I think he's one of these guys that you'll see the improvements when he's fully tanned up and pumped up. And I think you'll see it on the stage, because I think we're expecting to see drastic improvements on Regan. And because Milos has been absolutely beasting him. So when you're working that hard day in, day out, you're going to be improved. But right now, I'm not seeing it in the progress pictures. And I think when you talk about the Regan versus Samson, I mean, I stayed at Samson's house the other week and I saw him up close. He posed in front of me, in front of that mirror, and I was literally stood behind him. And so I'm kind of, I saw literally 2 foot in front of me the improvements he's made. His legs are bigger, his arms are bigger. The chest in the side chest looked fuller. The rear biceps still not, I don't think, where it needs to be. The rear lat spread looked great, but I mean, Samson have made significant improvements that, like I said, I could see with my own eyes. But I'm interested to see, obviously, the two of Milos's boys, Regan versus Samson. I think that's going to be really exciting. I think that's like a little contest within itself. Like I said, I feel like there's several contests going on within this one. Guys with different levels, guys at similar levels in their career, like Regan and Samson. And there's the novelty of having the same coach. And I want to see who's worked the hardest and kind of basically made the most improvements. But Regan, I said to Samson, it doesn't matter where you place in this Arnold Classic, as long as you look your best. I said, because if you look your best at the second biggest show in the world, I said that straight away takes you to another level. And you're already qualified for the Olympia by winning Prague. Sorry, not Prague. Yeah, Prague. Yeah. So, he's in a great position. But I'm excited to see Regan because, I mean, what Milos did from the Olympia to the Legion sport, I mean, it just blew all our minds, didn't it?
Yeah. So only a couple more guys to talk about. We got Max Charles, he's been top 5 at this show before. He's been in really spectacular condition a few times. Other times I've seen him flatter or faded. He was working with Milos. I'm not aware that he's working with anyone right now. I don't know if he's got a coach.
Dennis Wolf.
Oh, is it Dennis Wolf? Okay. Well, I was going to say, I'm hoping that Max can pull it together, because otherwise, if he's not top form at this show, he's going to be, with 9 guys, I don't think there's even room for third call out. There'd be just 2 call outs probably, but he needs to be 100%. He needs to be bang on to get a good look with this lineup. Anybody?
Jose?
I'm not expecting much, unfortunately. He's someone that has to be 1,000,000% on. And when he is, he's really impressive. I think one of those outings that I think Chris brought him in really sharp once, Aceto, and Milos brought him in really sharp once.
Yep.
And aside from that, you know, he's still has weaknesses like everyone else.
Yeah.
So I don't expect much. I think, you know, if he could be sixth, it would be great.
Sure.
But I don't even see that happening, to be honest. Unfortunately.
Sorry.
No, go ahead.
Okay. I'm just really excited to see what this working with Dennis Wolf is doing. So because you know, I wasn't hugely aware that Dennis Wolf was coaching that many people and how good he was. You know, like when you say, oh, he's been coached by Milos or Chad Nichols, you kind of expect big things. But with Dennis, I don't know how good a coach he is. He might be absolutely incredible. He might be, you know. But thing is, I've got the Max Charles of the 2020 Arnold Classic. Do you remember when he walked out, Ron? And it was just like the abs and the chest, everything was splintering and the veins and I mean, he was just peaked so beautifully for that. And I know he was disappointed with 8th place, but like I said, sometimes it's not always the placing at these big shows that counts. It's how you look at these big shows. So, you know, he took that as a disappointment. I'm like, yeah, but you look good at you know, it's like turning up to the Olympia and you don't bring your best and you look great on the tour shows afterwards. You've kind of blown it then, you know? So if you bring your best to the main shows, that surely has to be a win in itself, you know?
Yeah. The last guy, not expecting him to do very well this time. He's making his pro debut. He won this in 2020, the Arnold Amateur. So that qualified him. He bypassed last year's Fabio. His real name is Resende, but they call him Fabio Giga, which is like Gigante. Big dude. He has millions of followers in Brazil, of course. They love this guy in Brazil. Huge, tiny waist, actually, so small waist. I just don't see a lot of like muscle separation. I don't see things I'm normally looking for on a physique on him, especially at this level. So I'm not expecting him to place very well, but you know, the Brazilian fans will be very happy to see him up there regardless. Yeah, I guess that's all we can say. Want to move on to Classic? Let's do that. So the Classic Physique, this is the best Classic lineup outside the Olympia because it's the entire top 5 from this last Olympia minus Chris Bumstead. So we have Terrence Ruffin, Breon Ansley, Urs Kalaczynski, and Ramon. We just call him Ramon Dino. It's Ramon Rocha Queiroz. I can't even pronounce it. But man, I'm more excited in some ways about the Classic just because it's such a deep lineup. There's a few guys here who could potentially win this, whereas with the Open, it's kind of it's the Brandon Curry show. I guess we'll start with Terrence Ruffin because the only person who's beaten Terrence Ruffin in Classic Physique for the last couple of years has been Bumstead. Did he win the Arnold last year? I'm having a brain fog moment. He won the Arnold, so he's a defending champion. On paper, we do have another 2-time Olympia champ, Breon Ansley, going up against him, but Ruffin's getting better and better. I do know it's COVID. Can we say COVID on the air, guys? I don't know. But he had COVID a couple months, the C word. Not the C word that women hate, different C word. But
they're both the same.
he got through the COVID. He looks like he's back on track. He's my pick. I mean, you don't have to be a Swami to pick this guy. Do you guys both have Ruffin winning Classic?
On paper.
Yeah,
he's you know, he's young, so he's continuing to improve on a physique that 5 years ago we thought was amazing, you know, and is still just getting better and better and better. And he is, yes, on paper. But that said, this kid Ramon, I've been getting clips of him a couple times a week, and he is ridiculous.
Yeah.
He really is. He's another young kid. He's younger than Ruffin, who's improving like daily. I think he's 24 now.
Wow.
The Brazilian, he placed 4th at the Olympia.
That's Urs. Urs was 4th. He's 24.
And then he was 5th.
Yeah, I want to say Ramon's a little older. Still not. He's still in his 20s. I know that.
Yeah.
But yeah,
and
what a physique.
He arrived at midnight the night before prejudging. His plane landed. And he still was able to make it in place top 5 at the Olympia.
Wow.
He is just ridiculous. His skin looks like looks like a condom over his skin. It's so thin and young and youthful, and he's so well put together. So I wouldn't be surprised if he pushed Ruffin. I saw a picture of Urs the other day, and he looked way too sucked out already.
That's not good.
Yeah. So I don't know, but that kid's certainly talented. He's a breath of fresh air. I love his attitude on stage, dancing around, putting on a good show. So that's exciting. These guys coming up. That's what I love about Classic. It's really opened up so many avenues for guys that might not have been able to compete in the past.
Giles, who do you have winning this Classic Physique this year?
Well, I believe that Terence will be roughing up the competition.
That's from the.
Well, I can't. Yeah.
Show the cover again. Come on now. That was the Arnold Classic preview issue on newsstands now, guys. Yeah.
Surprise.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I've written that article saying basically for 6 pages how I think Terence is gonna take the Arnold Classic. So I can't really go back on that. But things with Terence last year, don't forget he had the stress of the John Meadows situation, which did derail him. You can see even a couple of weeks out, he was looking very, very behind. And I thought you should actually skip the Arnold Classic and just concentrate on the Olympia, because I felt like trying to peak when you're really behind on your prep, trying to peak for 2 shows too close. I think you should that's what I thought. So when I won the Arnold Classic with all those odds against him and literally being behind on his prep, which must have been very stressful on top of losing John's situation. I mean, his friend, his mentor. So, and then he took second at the Olympia. With that being said, I've seen some pictures and he does look bigger. He's probably got one of the best, to be honest, he's the best poser in the industry, and he's also got that lovely aesthetic classic shape. So I think he'll win this one. And I think we'll see the best ever version that we've ever seen of Terence.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to write Breon Ansley off. He's an Arnold champ. He's a 2-time Olympia champ. He is getting up there. You wouldn't know it because there's not one line on his face, but he's 42. But I don't see him regressing. I think Trigilli did a video trying to say his legs were down. They don't look down to me.
No.
I just don't know if it's going to be enough to get past Breon, to get past Ruffin, because Breon's look, we do interviews and he's so committed. He's so focused, believes in himself, all that. He's got Cormier coaching him and mentoring him and keeping him positive. I don't know. I mean, it'd be a great comeback story if Breon Ansley could come out and win this. I don't know if it sets him up in any better position to get his title back from Bumstead or not. Bumstead's kind of like a juggernaut at this point, but do you think Breon has a chance to win this? Anybody?
The only reason I didn't mention him is not because I don't think he's great, is because of where he's been placed, where he's been, how he's been judged. I absolutely love his physique. It's like the most rugged physique of all of them. The crazy striations in his lats, and he's just, I love the way he looks. Yeah. But with some of his poses, I don't know. I think they're gonna definitely go with Terence over him. I think his conditioning is better than Terence's. I just think Terence's presentation and flow, the way he's put together, is what they're looking for more. So, go ahead.
After the 2020 Olympia, I thought that was the slide of Breon. And then last year, he was posting pictures like 4 weeks out that he could have stepped on stage on. And I thought, okay, this guy really is hungry to get that title back. I mean, that top 3 last year at the Olympia, Terence, Breon, and Chris, I mean, it was so close. Yeah. And the second place, that was a fight. It could have gone either way. No one would have argued if Breon had been second place. But if he can, because doesn't he really struggle to make weight? He has to really come down. He has to really deplete himself and suffer to make weight. So he's one of those that, and I remember seeing the Arnold Classic in 2018 at the pre-judge, and he didn't look very good. And then he just looked incredible at the night show. So he's one of these guys that can, because isn't it all on Wednesday? Is it on one day, the pre-judging?
Open is this year.
Friday night pre-judging, Saturday night finals.
Yeah, Classic is all one day. They Friday afternoon and evening. So they're going to be all done in one day. Everyone's done in one day except for Open. They're the only ones who are dragging it out over 2 days. So
he has to nail it. He has to nail it for the pre-judging. Otherwise, he's going to get knocked out, even by guys like Ramondino and Urs. The thing is, Ramondino, going to him at the I did the live stream at the NPC European last August. And I mean, he was second to that, to Fabian Mayer, Classy FM guy on Instagram. And he didn't really blow me away, but he did blow me away just a couple of months later at the Olympia. I was like, okay, who is this guy? And I didn't realize it was the same guy that I've been doing live stream commentary on just a few weeks before, because he transformed that much. Wow. So like Jose said, this guy's young, he's improving. And I saw him at the start of his prep, and I couldn't believe, I wasn't impressed at all. I was like, mate, you've completely stopped training. And I've seen his body transform in the last few weeks. So if Jose's right, and this guy's really kind of, he's really sort of hurtling along now. I mean, he could be one that could step over Urs and potentially, all of them really. So it'd be interesting to see how he looks.
Yeah. The thing with Urs, I know he's happy to be doing the Arnold. It's a huge prestigious show. I had secretly hoped that he wouldn't do the Arnold because he still had 10 or 12, like 12 pounds left inside the limit to grow. And he needs it in the upper body. He needs to be fuller and thicker and rounder in the upper body, especially when he stands like someone like Raymond, who's got so much mass in the upper body. I was hoping Urs would take this off, take some time off, have an off season, put some size on, and then come back bigger and better. But yeah, because top 4 qualify, I think it's some weird random number. I think he's already qualified for next Olympia anyway. I'm happy that he's in it because I love seeing the kid on stage. He's a joy to watch. Break dances, everything. He's hilarious. But yeah, I was hoping we'll see if he's able to show some improvements, because it's like you said, it's hard when some of these progress pictures, like Regan, some of these guys have been on 0 carbs for like a weeks. So what we're seeing on Instagram, some of these people are going to look way better instead of what we usually see is they look like, perfection in Instagram. And then you see them on stage. Like, oh no, what happened? Anyway, just a couple more guys in Classic. Divine Wilson from the USA. Divine a few times. Beautiful physique on this guy. Tremendous taper, arms, shoulders. Just, I've never seen the type of condition on Divine that I would hope to see. Because if he ever shows up really shredded, he could be pushing a lot of these names. You guys familiar with him? I know you are, Jose. I
know who he is. He was the one that lost to the 212 bodybuilder, the Pittsburgh pro,
right?
In Classic, and he flipped out.
Yeah.
That's how I remember him. And he looks awesome, but when you put him next to guys that are just structurally, meant to be there, he's gonna struggle to get in a top 5, 6 spot, especially in a lineup like this.
Yeah, if he's got a taller, lankier look to him, if I recall correctly.
Yeah. The legs aren't huge. There's nothing that like makes him spectacular, but in a smaller show, he can win those.
Yeah.
He's won a few shows.
Yeah, he has.
But he's not like any of those other names that we've mentioned.
So the last guy I want to talk about, Giles, you're very familiar with this guy. He's been a standout in Europe for a long time. Peter Molnar from Hungary. I have only seen him compete a couple times now. Very impressed, but to me, he needs more legs. Am I seeing things?
Yeah. Well, basically Peter Molnar, because remember he was before he came over to the Pro League, he was in every federation, winning everything. And he was winning these shows with big prize money in all these different federations. And it was like, when is this guy coming over to the Pro League? Is he going to be a 212 or what's going on? And then it was 2020 Romania where he turned pro. And then he went to the Pro the next day and came first. Was it second or first or second? He came the next day. I'm sure that's what he said. But anyway,
he won.
He won.
Oh, he won.
He won because he got an Olympia qualification.
That's right. Yeah. And then 2021, I was doing the live. I was actually at the Romania Pro doing the live stream. And I mean, he won that. But I did see that there was something going on in his lower body that was it looked like there was some injury or something that was impeding his training, because he lacked certain bits of detail and development. His legs look a bit boxy, and there's something going on in his lower body that I'm guessing was an injury, which prevented him being able to train. When guys say, "Oh, I had an injury 6 weeks before, I didn't tell anyone, and I couldn't train my legs for 6 weeks." But if he's fixed that, and he's actually brought that lower body aesthetic back, and because he's amazing, great poser, fantastic physique. I mean, he really is. He's very impressive in the flesh. So if he can get his lower body back to his best, then there's a guy that could really shock and really surprise and absolutely be in the first call out.
He's I don't believe it's an injury. I think for his height, his best, he's a bodybuilder first.
Yeah.
So at his best, he's somewhere around 208 to 210 even.
Wow.
And for his height, the cutoff is like 192. So he's got to suck way down, and that's where it comes from, his legs. So in the shape of his legs is even worse. It's not one of those that comes from the hip. He's got a lot of meat around the knee, and it just makes his legs look straight up and down. And when you have arms the way he does with legs that aren't matching up, it stands out even more.
Yeah.
You know, the arms, the pecs, everything.
Yeah, I mean, he was incredible. I mean, he is incredible in the flesh, but there was something, you know, like the legs of the 80s, you know, where they like the glutes aren't developed, the hamstrings aren't. I just assumed, I thought, okay, then I don't think I've ever seen that before in pictures or in videos. So I'm guessing, you know, maybe he hasn't been able to press anything. Maybe he can just do leg extensions the last few weeks. That's what I thought anyway. But I thought, so if that is the issue, then potentially. Also, another guy that you haven't mentioned is Michael de Bull.
I did not mention him, correct. For the United Kingdom.
Yeah, by way of Syria. I interviewed him on Globe Muscle a few weeks ago, and there was all the drama over his visa because he's from Syria, and you can't. He hasn't been back to Syria in 10 and a half years, and they said if you've been to Syria or from Syria in the last 10 years, you can't get a visa to America. But he has fixed it. He's fixed it. He's going. He's the one who fell over. You know, remember he passed out?
Oh no!
No, where'd he pass out, at the Olympia?
Did you see the video on Instagram? His girlfriend Petra.
Yeah.
Bang! And he really
fell right on a bed. Luckily, it was a bed.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, that he just basically, you know.
Oh my gosh.
But I mean, there's a guy I'm interested to see because I wasn't at the Arnold UK and I'd like to see how he looks, you know. So it'd be interesting when I watch the live stream. I'd like
He's
to see
impressive.
Condition's good, isn't it?
Yeah, crazy. And that was a month ago.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. I hope he doesn't. Do you know what I mean? I hope he holds it or becoming too depleted.
Cool. Well, let's celebrate. Jose, where are you going to be at the Arnold so your fans can find you?
I'll be at the Tiger Fitness, MTS Nutrition, 015 bar, Brandon Curry's booth there.
Yep.
I'll also be at the Bolero booth. So that'll be fun. Good to see everyone. It's been a long time. When was the last time they had an expo? 2019?
Yeah. They had, I wouldn't call it an expo. They tried to have a little something last year, but it was very, very small. Very small. So hope to grab you for a couple of wrap-ups with Milos. That'd be hilarious to have you guys arguing with each other. But
oh yeah. I always disagree with him.
I love that.
Because he's gonna pick whoever he helps. Oh, he's clearly the winner. Whoever it is I'm helping is the winner there.
Now he sounds Egyptian now. But yeah, I mean it's I like having different opinions rather than everyone just saying yep. That's kind of boring. Guys, I want to let everyone know musculardevelopment.com. We're gonna have a play-by-play thread going all weekend long. I'll be uploading new pictures. Finally broke down and got nude pictures of you. Yeah. So I'll be we were able to get those up immediately, whereas the other high-res images take hours to upload. I'm just shooting from an iPhone. We'll get those up immediately. We'll be doing tons of videos on this channel, interviews, all kinds of cool stuff. So musculardevelopment.com and the Muscular Development YouTube channel. If you're not subscribed to the channel, go ahead and do that right now. It's a little thing right there. Give the video the thumbs up because you love Giles and you love Jose. Give them the thumbs up, comment, share, do all that good stuff. Guys, it's going to be an awesome Arnold Classic. It's the second biggest show of the year. The prize money's way up. Everyone's excited to get this thing back on the road, back to close to normal, back with the Expo, Arnold Amateur, all the other sports. It's going to be an awesome weekend in Columbus, Ohio. We're going to do our very best to make sure you feel like you're there, if that's possible. So I want to thank Jose Raymond, the Boston Mass. Check him out on Instagram at the Boston Mass with 2 E's. Giles Tiger Thomas, the main man over on that side of the world. It's a whole other world over there. I wish you were coming, man. I really wish you were coming. I'm sorry, but I know you're going to be there in spirit and commenting and doing all that stuff. So, and then guys, check out his show. It's on every week, MD Global Muscle. Awesome guest. He's got another one. Did you already do the? Oh, okay. No, never mind, guys. Never mind. But he's always got surprises and cool guests, and he's been doing workout stuff on the show lately too. It's really, really cool. So that's it, guys. Thank you so much for watching Muscular Development's preview of the 2022 Arnold Classic. We'll see you next time.